Thank you for joining us on our journey through the landscape of the EU missions and the EEA and Norway grants. It isn't just sightseeing. We are here today to talk about our destination, where the two paths, the EU missions and the EEA and Norway grants, can meet and foster potential synergies. But let's first look at how it started. It was 2022, and we were busy running our funding programs. If some among us were aware of the existence of the EU missions at that time, we certainly were not talking about them in connection to the EEA and Norway grants. But we've been actually exploring the possibility of synergies with Horizon Europe and looking for a way to bridge the gap for quite some time already. So, who embarked on this journey? 10 research and innovation funding agencies in Europe, charged with the task of organizing bilateral research programs which connect researchers from Poland, Romania, Czechia, Portugal, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, with researchers in Norway and Iceland to tackle some of the main challenges Europe is facing nowadays. As we are a group of innovation enthusiasts, it didn't take long for the idea of looking for connections with the EU missions, launched by the Research Council of Norway, to develop into a whole platform for debating the synergies of EU missions and the EEA and Norway grants in several places in Europe. And because it is easier to travel in a group, the journey made till today was teamwork as well. The teams involved in EEA and Norway grants in different countries helped each other, shared their experiences, and opened their events to projects from each other's countries. Our cooperation with RCN, FMO, National Mission NCPs, and others resulted in a series of 4 conferences organized in Romania, Czechia, Portugal, and Poland. Our goal was to equip our beneficiaries, the participants in the bilateral research projects supported by our EEA and Norway grants programs, with enough knowledge and confidence to pursue opportunities lying on the horizon. But first, we needed to close the information gap between those who knew the EEA and Norway grants and those who knew the missions. We suspected this gap was equally wide and difficult to bridge from both sides. The brave pioneers of this journey were our colleagues from UFSD, hosting a conference on the cancer mission in Bucharest, as both EEA and Norway grants programs for research and for public health in Romania were already supporting projects on cancer, working for a quick diagnosis, and mobilizing all actors to bring tangible benefits to people through prevention and better treatment. During 2 days, the attendees discussed the newest and disruptive findings of the collaborative research in Romania, Poland, Norway, Estonia, and Latvia. Also, they had the chance to exploit common points of interest to develop new partnerships and to accelerate the transfer of the results from lab to market by capitalizing on the upcoming calls from Horizon Europe. Discussions of different ways the cancer mission is being connected to the national health ecosystems allowed us to begin to understand how complex and dynamic the mission landscape is across Europe, and that both researchers and other stakeholders important for the missions would need a lot of support in finding their way through it. The imaginary torch was taken up by TACR, who put the soil mission in the spotlight during their conference SoilCon in Prague, where we explored the ground for future cooperation in Europe and engaged with Czech policymakers discussing mission-oriented policies and how national strategies can align with the mission's goals. A place-based approach was one of the key themes, and regional and local aspects of challenges for healthy soil were highlighted. This conference emphasized the need for transdisciplinarity and the involvement of many different stakeholders. We learned about the importance of living labs and discovered that the soil mission is in many ways different from the cancer mission. Hearing about the Soil Mission Manifesto, we started getting ideas about different ways our beneficiaries could become connected to different missions. For our next conference, we traveled to Porto, where DGMP organized an event dedicated to the Oceans mission. The Atlantic itself seemed to take an active part, welcoming us with waves splashing against the pier and a strong wind embracing the venue. The novelty of this conference was that it brought together both researchers and companies, discussing turning environmental goals into business opportunities and fostering impactful solutions, as the Blue Growth Program combines business development, innovation, research, and education. This event demonstrated its positive impact and showcased a portfolio of successful projects contributing to the mission already, despite the researchers having little to no awareness of it. They fit perfectly with what the ocean mission was looking for so the synergy found in Porto was explored further during the EU Ocean Days. Again, the conference taught us something new. In contrast with the Soil Mission Manifesto, the Ocean Mission has a charter, yet another way how to connect. The last stop on our way was in Warsaw, where NCBR combined two missions during their conference on the adaptation to climate change and climate-neutral and smart cities. This event attracted 200 researchers, entrepreneurs, and other stakeholders, who later sat down at one table and discussed the importance of missions and synergies between programs and exchanged their experiences during a TRAMI mutual learning exercise. The key takeaways from this event include high beneficiary interest in missions, but also the need for broader stakeholder involvement and the value of mixed group workshops for knowledge sharing. The need to get the information to people involved, to find ways to continue the work started and further use the results. Data collected and solutions explored in the EEA and Norway grants projects was clearly demonstrated. The common path lies ahead, as the thematic fit between the two missions and a very broad portfolio of projects across EEA and Norway grants was becoming very clear. To conclude, great science does not speak for itself, so the events were designed to discover synergies between different programs and facilitate the connections between researchers and stakeholders towards reaching common goals. On our journey, we discovered that the mission structures and approaches can differ from country to country, that missions are actively seeking ways to scale up successful solutions developed at the local level, and projects and institutions can actively participate in the missions. By fostering connections, raising awareness, and bridging the gap between programs, we can unlock the full potential of research and innovation for a better future and work together for a green, competitive, and inclusive Europe.